Welcome to the King Connection Tribe interviews. And today I'm honored again to have part two of my interview with Learning House founder and real estate investor, child development specialist, and Nkenge Yasin. How you doing today, Nkenge?
I'm great, King. How are you?
You know me, I'm always doing great. And you know how we like to get things started. So I got to ask you, what's your spiritual energy number?
My spiritual energy number is always, I'm gonna make it a 25 because seven is my favorite number. So I'll go off the racket and be 25 today.
You're going to be 25. Okay, I feel that. I feel that. And I accept that. So as we get things started and get to build on some things, this is our part two of a four-part interview. And what I've decided to do with different tribe members is really delve down deeper into how they're practicing spiritual capitalism within their business and in their lives. And so Kendra was gracious enough to join me on the second session to talk about how she's modeling her life around spiritual capitalism and her business. So before we begin, I just kind of want to lay the foundation for spiritual capitalism. Then I'm gonna give Nkenge opportunity to give a brief bio of who she is and what she does, and then we're going to discuss how she's implemented it in her business and kind of why she decided to do that. So spiritual capitalism is based off the book by Michael E. Hendren, Spiritual Capitalism, and is really based upon 10 core commandments. It's understanding that everything that you do in business is love. And the 10 core commandments of spiritual capitalism, number one, is that business is a spiritual experience. And we say that because once you adopt that particular model, then that defines how you go about doing business in your life. Number two is you don't shrink or play small in this world. Again, that means you have a higher purpose that's big enough to have an impact and not just about making money, but you want to improve people's lives. You want to make generational change. And that's how you don't shrink or play small in this world. Number three is debtor love, and the numbers will follow. That's based on creating your business model around love and understanding and having a faith that you know that money will come because of the value that you create and that you bring into your ecosystem and the universe. Number four, embrace leadership as a sacred responsibility. Again, it's understanding that you as a leader must constantly look for ways to improve the lives of the people you work with, all your stakeholders are going to be improved by the value that your business brings, your clients, your employees, everyone that you integrate and build in your ecosystem for your business. Number five is develop management into an art. And again, that's understanding that you have to have what we like to refer to as conscious business systems that run your business to make it more efficiently, much more effectively, and allows for quantifiable, proven results. It also focuses on developing a way to create quantum performance that he advocates in his book, Spiritual Capitalism. And last is about having workflow processes that make sure that your business is designing the way that allows you to engage with your stakeholders more effectively, your clients, and build sales funnels that allows your communication to engage and build a tribe around your particular business or service. Number six, empower them with ownership. Again, meaning to make sure that your employees, your stakeholders see their value, their role, and their benefit in your business model and clear on what they do. So now your business model becomes their business model because they have ownership interests in, and it can be direct ownership as far as percentage of profit shares, or it could just be ownership in the context that they are being improved by the product or service your business provides. Then you transcend to the higher levels, number seven. And that's based upon having a growth mindset, understanding that you don't own or you're not there, you haven't arrived at your mental best yet as far as knowledge and competence and spiritual growth. There's always room to grow. Number eight is don't take it all so seriously. Again, creating a well-balanced life. We like to say this means creating wellness in your life, making sure that you have fun and love, and you create what Michael E. Hendry calls the four cross, where you have the body, the heart, the mind, and the soul. So you have balance in all those areas. And number nine is count your blessings. It's showing that you have gratitude. He talks about creating gratitude lists. And as Kenji and I have shown before, she and I know that we wake up every morning and we go through our list of what we're grateful for. And then number 10, the truth will set you free. It means being authentic, being transparent, and being someone of integrity. So those are the 10 commandments of spiritual capitalism. And we want to go back to talking with Nkenge, how she's implementing those in her life, even though we're new to the book, but we've been living this way for years. And we adopted this as our model that we're building within the Connecting Intelligent Tribe, the King Connection is advocating. So with that being said, Nkenge, share with us just a brief background of your bio, and then we get into some of the key ways you're implementing spiritual capitalism.
I had to find the unmute. Of course, I'm child development, so my background is going to be child development. My name is Nkenge Yasin. As King mentioned, I'm the founder of Learning How Child Development Center, originally Busy Bees Early Learning Center. We've been in business for over 20 years now, and our program and philosophy is based on empowering, leveraging our trust and relationships with families to connect them to resources, and also changing lives through early encounters. We strongly believe that creating a different pathway for young children will change the trajectory of what their life's outcomes will be.
Excellent. Excellent. Now, as you know, spiritual capitalism pretty much is new to us as business owners. As far as now, the book came out in 2007. I didn't get turned on to the book until actually this year. Then I realized that I've been practicing conscious capitalism, advocating for that. You've been involved in my conscious roundtable that was based on the 4 principles of conscious capitalism. But when I read this book, it really helped me to realize that what we're building is bigger than just 4 principles. It has to be a way of life. It's a way, and that's where we see ourselves as spiritual capitalists in that context. And so, with that being said, my first question is, and I know that Learning How has been a spiritual capitalism company, and you are a spiritual capitalist in the way you behave. So I'm curious to know, describe Learning How's methodology as it relates to childhood development.
Absolutely, King. I think that's a great question. And like you said, spiritual capitalism, although we just found the book, I think it ties into just a way of life living spiritually. And I love the fact that he coined and created a book around it, because it allows everyone, no matter what religion, to adopt these principles in the way that they do business. So I appreciate him for coming up with something like that, to be able to put it into context of what people are actually doing, that won't separate based on what God you believe in or what you refer to God as. It's just the whole premise of spirituality. And when you sent me these questions, I really thought deeply about some of the things, and I love to be able to have the questions ahead of time, because it gives me an opportunity to think about what we already do every day. And one of methodology just in general is sectioned into 4 different areas, and I like to reference ours as what they call as qualitative methodology. And I'm just going to briefly define what that is and then go into what our methodology is. It's the method of qualitative research, aims to explore the specific process and is implemented not to prove any prediction. It is mostly implemented in the social science, education, which is us, interviews, observation, and other focus groups to collect information. It provides raw data without any contextual information, which is culturally synonymous and denotes personal information. And that's so important for us, because each section of Baltimore, each section of a different city is always going to be specific to those needs. So it's really having that raw data for that area to determine what type of methodology that you will use. So generally, what our methodology looks like is broken into, my favorite number is 7. So everything in Learning How is going to be based on 7 principles, 7 this. So it's broken down into 7 different sections, and it's based on, everything that we do is always going to be based on research. So this is coming from what we call the NACI guidelines, and it is the overarching framework for child development. And it is acknowledging what people do or say, specifically children, because we're working with children. Encouragement, which is persistently making sure that that individuals feel like they are accomplishing their goals, giving specific feedback to individuals, rather than just general comments. That's children and parents alike. Modeling our behaviors, like our what we do, it being an example of the things that we say that we do. Modeling just good behavior, demonstrating for individuals that don't understand what it is that you're saying, or what information they don't know yet. Creating and adding a challenge. So all of this is all, like I said, based on the NACI framework, but it is also something that we apply to our parents as well. Like what things do they need to be able to get to the next level? And when families come into our program, we do what we call a from crisis to thrive and model, where we do an intake analysis to see what things can we incorporate, what other things do we need to create to be able to help them to get to that thriving part, and asking questions, not making any assumptions, being really specific with each individual and finding out what their specific needs are. Then the fifth one would be giving assistance, whatever they need assistance with. And all of this, again, I can't emphasize enough, are based on the what we would do with children, but it's the same exact thing. And we'll later discuss that in another question that you sent. And then providing them with information and giving them direction. So those are the 7 specific keys that we use in our methodology. And then I could go on and on for days about it, but that is the framework of our methodology.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I think that's very important that folks understand that you have a framework. I was talking to a investor who is interested in investing in a conscious fund that we're building, and I laid out to him the vision of creating business generating residences, and I pointed out child development residence. He wasn't really familiar with child residence. He was like, well, what's the difference between that and daycare? And you and I discussed this previously before, but I wanted folks to hear that that in that 7 methodology that you laid out, the framework, that is what really separates what you're doing from just watching kids until their parents come pick them up, putting them in front of a TV and feeding them once or twice and watching them go to sleep, but actually engaging, enriching, and empowering their lives to do better. So that's why I love working with you, because again, I tell folks my model is not designed to awaken the lambs, it's to work with the lions that's already awake. And you're one of those lions. And as we talk about that, I'm curious to know, what are some of the key strategies you learned from working with me?
Oh wow, that list is really long, King. So one of the things that I would say that I've learned mostly from you, it would be, I had a list, but I want to save the main one for last. Let me go back to that question. Um, the main one, of course, I'll jump to is the importance of social capital. And of course, my notes are really small because I'm sharing the screen. But my main one would be um, that question just disappeared. So, I mean, there's a list of things. So, I think the importance of servitude, one, I know we met in a community where I was already serving, but being more intentional about serving. Then I would also say that the importance of, like, the strategies of social capital, like understanding what that looks like. So learning how was already on a path of growing and building. And so I feel like you came along on that path to help direct and guide what direction would be helpful for the best use of serving and living in our purpose of developing children. So I would say some of the strategies would definitely be the importance of social capital, the importance of giving, the importance of being knowledgeable about what it is that you are, being a subject matter expert at what it is that you are doing. So it always challenges me to learn more, read more about what it is that I'm building.
You know, and thank you for sharing that. As we began to really talk about some of the ways that when I met you, things you were already doing in your business, and then figuring out how best to convey that and put that forward. You know, I want you to mention, because this has really impressed me about what you were doing that went beyond just what I felt that typical daycare practitioners do. You provide kind of a family service type approach to your clients that bring their children to you. Please describe some of those family services that you provide. You're on mute right now, Kenji.
I'm sorry. I keep trying to keep you out of their morning activities. My next space, I want to have a soundproof office for whatever investors want to invest next time. I want a soundproof office so that I can have healthy, quiet meetings. But some of the services, the family services that we offer, you can't develop children without providing, right? You can't build anything. Let me say that. You can't build a community. You can't build anything without providing those supports around it. So there's several family services that we offer. We offer quality infant care and assessments while parents are on site. We do parent education, adult education, financial literacy, home buying workshops. We do peer support, health and education referrals. We do a lot of things, but what's most important to me that I found in being passionate about what I do and very overzealous about what you can bring to a community, none of those things will work if you do not help people have self-care. So one of the things that we are newly implementing is a strategy to help instill that hope back into individuals. What is it that you need? And so we're providing days where parents can just have a day off, a parent night out. We're providing where we're going to provide. These are new initiatives that we're having, because when you look at a community, you look at what the data says, you can come up with all of these rocket science ideas. You know what? They just need parenting education. They just need financial literacy. They need home buying seminars. And then you host those things and one person shows up. And you're like, well, what am I not doing right? The data says that this is what this community needs. And we're showing them where they can get $10,000 towards buying their own home. They'll pay less in this amount of mortgage versus this amount of rent. But when you are dealing with a demographic of individuals who have been beat down for so long, you are really stretching it to be able to just skip to that level. So a lot of our practices now that we are rolling back and saying, before we host another financial literacy workshop, before we host another event, we are going to figure out what these individuals need to be their best selves. Like, what other supports can we incorporate? And one of the things we recently found that we're doing now, because we want to just engage them and start making sure we're establishing that trust, is finding out what's important to them. And believe it or not, birthday parties are extremely important to them. And I am so excited about how many birthday parties that we have scheduled, because that's important to them. And one of the horrific reasons that is so important to them is because a lot of their family members, their friends, the harsh reality is that they don't live past a certain age. And so they want to always celebrate those kinds of milestones. So we're going to use those opportunities of hosting birthday parties for the children, hosting those to be able to say, okay, what else is it that you need, to have those discussions. So we are planting in intentional family service workers at those events to see what's important to them, because individuals will spend their rent money to have a 3-year-old birthday party. And so you have to meet people where they are. And so in doing so, those might not be your traditional family services, but that's how we will be able to implement some of our other programming, or the things that will help them get from that crisis to thriving model, is to really identify. And that's why the methodology of asking questions and really tuning into what it is that they need, and not judging it, like really taking a non-biased approach to, even if a 3-year-old birthday party is not worth $1,000 to you, it is to someone else. And really finding that that place that place of entry for you to help really support them.
Excellent, excellent. Now, I know you've been working in 20 years or more in the child development business. You've worked with a lot of different parents. You've watched children grow up, obviously from being infants to adults in that over that period of time. Are there any key success stories you want to share with us about children that you work with and you watch manifest and grow up into adults?
Oh, wow. I guess it depends on how we're measuring success. Every story we have is a success story to me. Um, from the child that didn't know how to write when he came in, or the child that wasn't speaking and getting him he or she speech therapy, and them having them learn how to talk when there was some thought that they couldn't talk. So I think every story here is a success story. Not I think, I know every story is a success story, and it really depends on how we're measuring success. So I have a wonderful story about a gentleman who he was a product of parents who, one parent was a prostitute, one parent was addicted to narcotics. He's a Baltimore City police right now. So if that's how we're measuring success, is whether or not they grew up to be a productive citizen, whether or not they complete college or complete high school. If we're measuring success that way, then we have several of those. But what's more important to me is that same child that was in that story coming back to talk to our children about overcoming obstacles, overcoming tragedy, and how they could be their best self. And so I would say that the success stories for me are the individuals that come back and talk about their trials, their tribulations, and how they can help the next person, how they can mentor or be great for the next person. So every story here is a success story. Even the child that we find out later is incarcerated and dropped out, like, that's not the end. So there's never an end. So the story never ends for us. So we're here from the cradle to college, we're here from the cradle to beyond. So some of our young students may be incarcerated right now. So how can we support them to never be incarcerated again? So success to me is relative, and it will really depend on how we're measuring success. So I would say that every story that we have is a success story, because it's not the end.
Excellent answer. I definitely understand and respect that. Now, my next question, and I kind of hesitate in asking this question, but I think it's important to point out because, and my hesitation, it really comes from watching how all these, and I'm going to point them out as institutional, well-intended individuals who want to come into the community and understand that there's been pain and marginalization and trauma, but then they want to exploit that trauma by saying, well, look, all this person's been through, and we've helped them with a $5,000 loan or a $10,000 loan, or we connected them to some kind of business incubator resource, a 6-week free class, and that's not my intent behind this question. My intent behind this question is really to point out that I admire what you've overcome to be where you are. You began this interview by saying you were 20. I'm always marveled with that.
25.
25. Thank you for correcting me. I'm marveled by the fact that you bring that kind of energy every time we speak. You never seem down. And I know you're going through some traumatic experiences in your life. I'm not going to ask you to list them all, but whatever you felt in your heart and your spirits to share today, I just want to set the context, because I want folks to realize that as a spiritual capitalist, you're going to have pain. You're going to go through challenges. You're going to go through traumatic experiences, but with a growth mindset, you learn that there's always a blessing in that onion if you want to pull back the layers. So you mind share some traumatic experiences that you've gone through in your life, one or two.
Sure. So I can't stress enough that I know I said this in our first interview, so I'll restate it again to just confirm that I strongly believe in this, that you don't overcome it, You just learn how to deal with it and navigate through it. So you don't overcome it. You just learn how to navigate through it. And yes, I think anyone will have, given the experiences that I've had, anyone would have down days. But one of the things that I've learned in doing my own personal development, my own spiritual work, my own prayer, meditation, is that life is not happening to me, it's happening for me. And so every opportunity, I try my best to look at what is this, why is this happening, and how can I use this to help someone else. And so sometimes, so some of the tragic experiences that I have, and um uh have been, I lost two brothers to senseless gun violence. And I like to be specific that we're not, because sometimes people like to discredit, someone that I called my brother or something like that. No, we had the same mom, the same dad. My first brother that I lost, we used to take baths together. I don't know how poor everyone else was, but we had to save water. So we had to take baths together. And I can remember it like it was yesterday, him just being a typical boy, acting like he had to go to the bathroom in the water to make me want to jump out. So I'm talking heartfelt, close relationships that was torn away from me. And so one of the I think you have to go through a process of I definitely know there's a process to grief. And then if afforded the opportunity to not to look at it from a outside standpoint of not being a victim, and really figuring out what it why this, I can't really answer why. The why is always the unknown for me, but what can I do with this energy? What can I do with it? Because it becomes stored up energy, stored up pain. And it is one of the reasons, one of many reasons, that learning how is a vital component, a staple in Baltimore City, and will be in cities alike, is because I have been directly affected by what most of the community members have gone through in some capacity. And so, even if it's growing up in a home of domestic violence, my father was drafted against his own will to Vietnam and came back addicted to drugs, or having a parent that was addicted to drugs. So I feel like once you realize that you are being used as a vessel to do God's work, it becomes it's almost like a shield, or he puts you in a bubble. And I'm not saying that you don't have any days, but it fuels you to be able to do the work that you need to do. And to your point of spiritual capitalism, once I was able to see that, the floodgates started opening, and I know that it will continue to do so because of the lives that we are really changing.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that. And I definitely, like I said, you say you don't overcome it. I use the term overcome because it always reminds me of the songs that we sang, our parents sang in the 60s, We Shall Overcome. So, but thank you for that clarification, because when it comes to trauma, each person has a way they have to deal with it. As you say, move past or navigate through that treacherous entry, I would say, negative energy that's around that, and then finding that source of light on the end of it. Now, here's something to switch back to a more positive note, and get away from that. What do you enjoy most about your work?
Man, uh everything. The joy on each child's face every day. Um Mostly helping parents see their highest potential, and instilling hope back in them. One of the things that I was sharing with someone earlier today is how imaginative children are, and they fuel me to help put the imagination back in individuals to manifest things. So, we hear this word a lot. It's really like a catchy word now, manifestation. Everybody is manifesting what they want. And
Hmm.
it's no different than children in imagination. So if you watched, I mean, I have the best job in the world to be able to watch children think about everything that they want to be, with no fears, no doubt, no worry. I mean, they are taking ships to the moon. They are cooking up all kinds of things every day. They are knocking on my office door, offering me food that makes my mouth salivate, and it's really nothing there. Like, they take me there. And so one of the greatest things I feel about working in this space, that I have to be very conscious of not getting so inducted into all the time, is being in that classroom. You want to be in that classroom, but I can't be in the classroom and still pay salaries. But being in that classroom and watching them be whatever they want to be, it allows me the space and the fuel to be able to help other individuals get back to that place. It reminds me every day that I can do anything that I put my mind to. So that would be what I most enjoy. The imaginative play of children would be what I most enjoy, to help adults manifest that same with that same energy.
You know, what's interesting is how, when you share with me that you work with parents and you provide services like picking their kids up and dropping them off to school, helping them get access to resources, like you mentioned about home owner workshops, whether it's government assistance programs, workforce development. I remember when the mayor came up with a program to help young girls who are between, I believe, 18 to 21. You can correct me if I'm wrong on the facts of this, but I know that he created a $1,500 grant to provide these mothers a monthly payment. And then I know that you shut your center down for a day and work with other nonprofit organizations to work with the community, do outreach, so that any young mother who fit that demographic come in and complete that application and work with them to do that. So you've done a lot of great things. You do a lot of great things on a regular basis. That's just who you are and how you're wired. Now, what I'm curious to know, the love energy, and you said this in the last interview we had, that it's all about what's missing from Baltimore is love. And you definitely put out that love energy. Now, what I'm curious to know, how do parents react to that love energy you put out when you ask them to say, okay, well, when you bring your kids here, it's going to be a family engagement, and this is going to be the requirements you're going to have to go through to be a part of our Learning How family.
So a few corrections about what you said, just so everything's always clear. It was $1,000 a month instead of $1,500 a month, and we didn't shut our program down because our family. It is important that we provide exceptional care every day. We ran that program simultaneously while we were open to
Oh, well,
help
thank
those
you.
families. We cannot shut our program down. You will find that you will see some unloving parents if we shut our program down. But to your
Well, thank you for that clarification.
Absolutely. That was a great experience, and so will all the other future experiences. They will be as well. To answer your question, um, what was your question? I'm sorry, I got sidetracked.
Yes, my question was, how do parents receive this love
Oh,
wave?
got it. So several ways. It takes some time. It's not a overnight process. It takes some time, and it's received different from each individual person based on their experiences. Some will send you a text message, dissertation long, acknowledging all of the great things that you're doing, and how it's changing their lives and what it means to them. And then others may show love by saying, you're not doing enough, you could do more, so and it's okay, because the love that we have and that we are going to continue to instill in our tribe, in our as you would refer to as tribe, what we're going to continue to instill in them is not taking it personal. So as long as we're continuing to exude love, it's going to eventually, love is always going to overshadow anything. So eventually it's going to do away with anything that is negative. And so they receive it all different kinds of ways. They receive it sometimes, and they want more of it, and sometimes like I said, it's all an individual based thing. What I will say as a general answer is most of them receive it well, and you'd be surprised how many individuals are in need of it. Even in the morning, I told you, I make sure we hug our children every day if they want to be hugged, because we respect boundaries. We ask them would they like a hug every morning. And I had a parent tell the other day that one of their children said that they love hugging Miss Penny every morning. So that starts to establish some kind of trust and love for your parents. So it's received different from each individual person. Some take a little more time than others, and if you deal with a population where so many things have happened to them, you can't expect to really receive it always. And so we our goal and what we are always going to stand on is about what do we want to give, not what we want to receive. And that was one of your strategies that you helped me to appreciate, was what is it that I want to give, and everything else will be provided.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, I noticed you also, in addition to all the work that you do with learning how you're a real estate investor, you're author, you put out a book, you do a lot of community work. Then you also decide to go out and create a weekly, I guess, Zoom call session with parents and other community leaders called Parent Who Doesn't Come with a Book. So what inspired you to create that?
A need. I am a creator. I am a leader. And so anytime that there is a need for something, I'm going to create it, or I'm going to find someone to create it. Whenever I see anything. And also because I needed it, because I learned that parenting does not come with a book, as you can see, which is my background for our weekly podcast that we will be relaunching. We are actually having along with Glenda from She Speaks, we are hosting and WMEG on Friday, a meet and greet for Parenting Doesn't Come with a Book and She Speaks. And we'll relaunch it January, the first week in January. We had to pause because of my parenting and learning how to parent and run a business and multitask. It was an area that I realized everybody was just trying to wing it. You know, we have books on how to raise chickens, how to hatch them, how to train a dog, as I know you're going through now, King. And it's a blueprint, but there is no book. Parenting does not come with the book, as the title says. And so, and the more that we had discussions about topics, we have all of these varying suggestions and opinions. And keep in mind, Parenting Doesn't Come with a Book is a non-judgmental platform where there are individuals stating what they think, what worked for them, what didn't work for them, and so on and so on. And so anytime there's a need, I'm going to fill it with creating something or finding someone that should do it. And like I said, I needed it. I'm raising 2 young girls. I've already raised a son who is totally different from raising 2 girls with different emotions and all kinds of things. And I wasn't sure if it was technology. I wasn't sure if it was the food I'm feeding them. And so I needed to have a safe space to be able to talk to individuals about what it is I'm going through, even my own trauma and how it shows up in parenting, my own experiences of being parented. What things do I want to throw away? What things do we want to keep? So I thought that it was an important platform, and it's one of those things that doesn't feel like work, because it's like my counseling session. It doesn't feel like work. One, because it really helps me to hear even though I may not agree with everyone's opinion, they might not agree with mine. It's a safe space to be able to talk about what works. And so in January, when we relaunch, we will have the topics for the entire year. So that's what we're working through now, making sure that we work out all the kinks so we can be consistent. We'll have several co-hosts every week to be able to discuss those topics. And then when I finally get on your calendar, we will brainstorm it even more to see how we can be really intentional with really helping parents navigate their process of being a parent.
Excellent, excellent. Now, my next question is for folks who may have this question and might be interested and bringing their children to learning how, but not necessarily fit into the income requirements that a lot of the subsidy programs that Baltimore City offers. So the question is, do you only work with low income families?
Oh, absolutely not. We serve all children. The majority of our families are low income, but they're very rich. I hate that word, low income. But they're very rich in spirit, which gives them the ability to change their circumstances, and they're always looking for other options and with a different perspective that it'll help them remove themselves from low income to whatever income is the next bracket. So no, absolutely not. We service children of all abilities. All abilities and all income levels. We have a vigorous curriculum. We have everything that your big boys may have in their facility. One of the extra ingredients we would have, I would say, is the love. We have a really loving, nurturing environment that cultivates all kinds of different experiences and opportunity to create what children want to create. So we have a very rigorous curriculum. We use the creative curriculum, teaching strategies, grow up wild. We also use Frog Street as our main premise, just because it teaches a foreign language, and also the research based or evidence based curriculum. But more importantly, like I said, we have love. That is I can't stress enough how loving our teachers are, and how they are very intentional with child development and understanding child development.
Excellent. We know we've reached the top of the hour. Got a lot more questions, and we're going to push these next questions into our third installment, because I would believe they require a little more time to unpack, and they're going to build some other questions from that. But what I want to do in our remaining minutes before we reach the top of the hour is give you the opportunity to share your contact information so that people listening can find out how to get in touch with you, who might want to co-create and build with you, as well as one of the things that we didn't miss out on that I said I was going to start making sure I do in every one of my shows is go through our gratitude moments and give you the opportunity to share what you're grateful for, because I believe that's always important, and that sets the context for how we live throughout our days.
So I'll go for. Am I going first?
Yes.
Oh, great. Sure. So that means since I hear you say yours often, I could steal some of yours and add on to it. So you cannot use any of the ones that I use. I'm grateful for my life. I'm grateful for my health, my ability to hear, walk, see, and talk. I'm grateful for my mother. I'm grateful for the infinite possibilities that today will bring, this week will bring, this month will bring, this year will bring, this life will bring. I'm grateful for the ability to think. I'm grateful for the ability to create. I'm grateful for the ability to learn. I'm grateful for my children. I'm grateful for my coworkers. I'm grateful for all of the lives that we touch daily. I'm grateful for health. I'm grateful for getting in the gym this morning, tearing it up. I'm grateful for finding that 20 minutes in the morning to meditate and giving myself back, as Wayne Dyer would say, the hour that I lost in sleep. As you can see, I'm fueled up today, so it's definitely working. I'm grateful for vitamins, as my mom has gone to the store and got me all kinds of great vitamins. I'm grateful for forgiveness. Um, I'm grateful for everything. I'm grateful for my sister circle that make is always praying with me. I'm grateful for um I'm grateful for the social capital that I have. I'm grateful for all of the different programs that helped me get to where I am today, assisted me in getting to where I am today. I'm grateful for the boards that I sit on. I'm grateful for the community that I grew up in. I'm grateful for um, I'm just grateful for everything. I'm grateful for the new business ventures. We'll talk about that on the next topic. I just invested in a store that I'm going to create that will, as HOW stands for helping others win. So I'm grateful for the ability to be able to help others win. And I'm grateful for you, King, for this opportunity, this platform, for being my mentor, and just always being great. So that's what I'm grateful for.
Well, thank you for sharing that list. I appreciate it. You shared quite a bit, and that's great. One of the things, a book spiritual capitalism talks about that was what we were already doing before I even read the book, was you have to create a list, your gratitude list, and carry it around with you. And we create that list in our minds mentally because we believe it. It's internal to us. And you challenge me. I can't say what I'm normally grateful for. So I definitely am grateful for the things I normally say that you just challenge me not to say. But I'm also going to add to that and say that I'm grateful for the problems of my life. I'm grateful for the challenges that I have, because it's in resolving those challenges that I realize that there is blessings on the other side. And it's not about what I'm experiencing in the middle, it's about who I become as a result. And I know there's growth on the other side of that. So I'm grateful for the problems I have in my life. And I'm also grateful for the connections and opportunities that people who want to build with me, who are growing with me and want to be a part of this spiritual capitalism movement that we're building. So that's it. Now, our closing thoughts would be, any closing thoughts you want to share our listening audience, as well as your contact information, and we'll wrap this thing on up.
Just continue to be great, and continue to show love in everything that you do. Everything that you do. My name is Nkenge Yasin. I could be reached at learninghowmd.net. Or we can also be reached at, my email address is learninghowmd@gmail.com. Also nkenjay@learninghow.net. I could also be reached at 443-416-3900. Again, the number is 443-416-3900. I didn't mean to give my cell phone number. I got distracted doing something else. But yeah, I could be reached there, and I could be reached by coming to take a tour. You could click on my Facebook page or my Instagram page and click and take a tour. See how you can get involved. See how you can either be maybe a mentor. We have all kinds of opportunities for you to get involved, to help us grow, to help us sustain, to help us build, to help us improve lives and change lives through early encounters. So take a tour, come see us, see what we're all about. It's better in person than it is. I can show you better than I could tell you.
Excellent. And again, Nkenge, thank you again for your investment of time and energy and joining us on this tribe discussion. Thank you for being a spiritual capitalist that you are. And I want to wish everyone listening to us, as well as yourself and the folks at Learning How, a blessed and productive remaining part of your day. Take care, everyone.
Thank you, King.